Okay, so we are going to talk about August in the Water, a 1995 Japanese film. Um, the director is called Ishii, something, but I'm not seeing anything else
His
by
name is
him.
like I think it's Sogo Ishii.
Yeah, Soko Ishii, right? So
And but he also changed his name.
to
So
Gakuryo Ishii,
yeah.
yeah. But I think back when he made this movie, yeah, it was Soko Ishii.
Hmm.
So I guess I could explain how I found this movie. So I'm going to share the window. You guys can't see it, but okay. Um, so I found it through this article on WordPress. What's the article? The link is there in the description of this video.
Hmm.
It's called on Dempa, a guest article by Kenji the Enchi. uh, anyhow, so the article is about this style, I guess, of stuff called Denpa, which is a very generic term. So Denpa just means radio waves.
Hmm.
Um,
Again,
again, did we talk about this already last time?
remember when we were talking about Toru Honda? That's the title of
Oh yeah,
his
Denpa article. Yeah, Denpa article.
post.
Um, so yeah, so it means radio waves, and it's like so basically what happened was that some guy did some murders and in Japan, and when people asked, well, at the court, he said that the reason why he did that is because the radio waves told him to do it or something. So that then kind of means like like people on another on another wavelength, or something
Hmm.
like that. People weird like that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, like those who eat too much gabambosia, let's
yeah.
say.
Okay. Um, okay. So do you guys want me to try and share the article, or would you rather we just go and talk about the
Maybe if
film?
there is some like salient or very relevant point in the article, we could
Yeah.
start from there.
Yeah, it's just only because the article is not just about the movie, so there are only only a couple of paragraphs about the article.
Well,
So
maybe let's see what he says about the movie in particular, so we
yeah,
can see.
so I'm going to try to share the screen with you guys. You can basically you just need to try and join the stream. Hopefully it'll work this time, but it didn't last time, so who knows. Okay, so have you joined the stream? You can
Let's
do
see.
you can do this on mobile as well, Fahrenheit. So
Okay, I can.
yeah.
Yeah. We're good to go. Don't worry.
Okay.
The
So
the only problem is that it's very small on my screen.
but
But
you 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 will
I'll cope. Don't worry.
you will still hear it on your headphones, so it should be fine.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
If you don't hear it, then yeah, it's not worth going through it, I guess. Um, okay, let's try. Let me know if you can't hear the article yet.
Okay,
Ishii's bewildering film August in the Water.
Could you hear that? Any of that?
It's a bit quiet, but I'm kind of getting audio.
Okay, okay. Let's try again. Can't I change the
Water is an interesting case in point of
Okay, let's just give up. Let's just give up. It doesn't seem to be
All right.
working. Yeah, let's talk.
Okay.
Let's just talk about the film. Okay, let's just talk about the film without bothering with
All
the
right.
article.
All right, yes, abort.
But yeah, well, we tried.
Let's start with maybe with a brief summary of the plot.
Okay, yeah, why not? So let's see. Yeah, so I guess I could try reading the official summary. Why not? So a girl in a school uniform suddenly emerged from a dolphin pool. So I don't know. Do we need this stuff? No, we don't need it. So anyhow, so the movie starts.
This stream is already like such a farce.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Let's see.
Yeah, because I don't. So it's 1990. I think that it's 1995 in the setting as well.
Yes.
And so the setting is in a city of in Genkai City in Fukuoka.
Mm-hmm.
There's a drought going on, and there's a mysterious illness which turns people's organs to stone, and basically throughout the film you can see people dropping.
I must admit, sometimes the sound effect that they put over the people falling to the ground made me laugh. Seemed
Yeah,
almost
yeah,
like
true,
like
true.
it gave. I understand what they were trying to say. Like they became as hard as stone, and of course, in the middle of the street, if you were to hear someone not just falling to the ground, but like falling like a brick, literally, with the sound of rock,
Mm,
it would be
yeah,
quite.
yeah.
But in the
Well,
movie, sometimes it's a bit cheesy.
yeah. Well, you know, and at least like they didn't use some like door creaking sound effect where like people would
No,
like
no,
falling
no.
over and then
True, true.
and then they just like and then they yeah like faint.
A couple of times it worked really well. A couple of times was okay, and then there were a couple of times when I must admit I was like shocked.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I think yeah. Sorry.
I thought it's I mean it so the film is a sci-fi film, but and
It's a quaint and small scale compared to many other sci-fi, despite having a large impact.
Yeah, yeah. It's it's more of like a drama.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think.
It's like supernatural slice of life.
Yeah, yeah. It's a very soft sci-fi. It's more like I mean, you could call it like maybe like a yeah, like a like I
A
would have called like a
supernatural
drama.
coming of age story.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's probably a good way to put it. Um, yeah, I mean, yes. August in the Water, 1994. Sorry, 1995. Um, it's like is like a film. Um, sorry, no, what I'm a delirious. it's a is like a dream.
Mm.
To me at least.
Yeah. To use the
It will.
the more scientific term, we can say it's a oniric movie.
Yeah. And it's also a film that, despite it being sort of very abstract in places, is also somehow like the most nostalgic film in existence.
Hmm.
Even though I am, even though I like I wasn't like even alive in the 90s because that's how ridiculously young I am, right? And and also I'm not Japanese, right? But somehow this film conjures up like very strong feelings of a
Yes,
nostalgia.
exactly. Like for a place and a time you didn't even really belong to, or that you knew much about. And I think this is a very good thing about this movie. How it makes you feel like almost in that time and in that place with those characters, despite the cultural and linguistical barriers that are there. And this, I want to say, is something that is similar in some regards to some of the Russian movie makers like Tarkovsky. They make you feel in the moment.
Yeah. It's a very sort of present and embodied, right?
Hmm.
It always feels like a documentary, like you're sort of
Yeah,
in. Um,
and that's because of two things. I do believe it's very slow paced, and there are and this is something that both Japanese and Russian auteurs, if we want to use this term, really like to use as a device. And another thing is this movie has a very ethereal and hypnotic soundtrack made with
yeah,
it's a mixture of Japanese ethnic instruments and a sort of low-key synthwave kind of music, and they work really well. And it's similar to the kind of music you will find in some of Tarkovsky's movies.
yeah. Yeah, it's also it's also a very simple sound. It's not like music that's been like overly produced and like layered or something, or
Yes.
it hasn't really been like produced by a orchestra, even though some some of the music was like um classical, I think, like
Hmm.
a bit, but it was like mainly this sort of synth um production. Uh, what you said about it, yeah, like
And which
it
makes
is
sense.
very yeah, it is very sort of I don't know present or sort of it seems realistic despite being like kind of
Hmm.
crazy. Um
Yeah, and it links very well the themes of the movie too, with this idea of these waves coming from this supernova and
yeah,
the
yeah.
meteorites and the petrographs that were found in the digging site.
But I think a lot of this effect was also due to the sort of handheld camera work, right?
Yes.
Where everything is like a little bit shaky. Like the panning shots aren't mechanical. There's like a few like sort of dollies that get
Hmm.
used, right? And
There,
Yeah, one that I
like
really
yeah,
liked was the scene. Oh, sorry.
no, it's fine. You can go.
I was saying there were one scene with a dolly that I really liked was the when we first see the female character. What's her name? Izumi. Yes, I think that's her name. When she is preparing to jump for the first time from the high diving place, and you can see the camera movement. It's clearly a dolly because how precise and angular in a sense it looks, but it's so well shot. It's almost like a promo, but it works well because you
Yeah,
feel the dizziness of being in such a high place.
yeah, and all the everything is quite close. Like
Hmm.
there's like some shots that are sort of pulled back a bit, but for the most part,
Yes.
you're mainly going to see like at a maximum like four or five characters on screen,
Hmm.
and like everything is sort of it's a
There are
small
some
scale.
there are like a few shots of the cities, but they are more to ground you in the moment and in the place.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, speaking
And
of shots of cities, it sort of reminded me of like at the end of Evangelion, there's a bit of live action.
Yeah,
Where yeah, but apparently that's like not a real place. Apparently, those are miniatures. Anyway, uh, that basically, I guess, was the mood. I think this came out. This aired just a few months before Eva. Not the
yeah, I
movie.
think
Yeah.
like Evangelion came out. I think it's written in the article you were sharing where they were saying that yeah, it came out. They came out the same year, but this one came out during the summer, while Evangelion came out in October. So just a few months apart.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so there's a lot of stuff which is introduced at like in the first half or so of the film, like the stuff about the exploding supernovas creating a black hole,
Hmm.
sending electromagnetic waves, and um,
The only thing I found a bit weird were the two meteorites that are not that relevant.
yeah, yes,
I'm not saying they were completely irrelevant, but they were not that important as they made them sound.
yeah. For some reason, I expected them to be much larger uh, than they actually turned out to be.
Yeah, two small chunks.
Um,
Yeah.
Like,
You know, yeah, you would know the image you picked for the stream thumbnail, students.
yeah. What about it?
Yeah, you know, with the girl sort of illuminate, well, sort of standing in like a pool of water with the moon
oh yeah, yeah, that's
illuminating the surface. Like when I was watching that scene, like I was like I was really struggling to sort of like put my finger on like where I recognize this imagery from, and then like and then now I realize that like this is basically like also imagery used in Evangelion with like Ray sort of being like sort of standing in exactly the same pose and
Yeah, yeah.
either the sun and moon like illuminating the water in that way as well.
She does
I,
mm,
I, I kind of wonder. Sorry.
go on.
I kind of wonder if this is like that staging is like is taken from like somewhere else beforehand. At at this point, I don't know. It's just sort of straightforward. So, you know, obviously, there's something about that composition that is sort of in it is sort of in the psyche in some way, or
yeah.
was.
Yeah, I mean
There's something mystical to it almost.
yeah, I mean the
Yeah.
girl sort of does become a little bit like Ray, a little bit after the incident.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
so I read a bunch of reviews, and I guess the complaints usually went along the line of, "Oh, the first half is good, but the second half is not." Just like there's just I guess the dividing point would be
After the accident,
yes,
I would
after the
say.
accident.
I
Um,
do understand and sort of agree that the first part is when the mysteries are being risen, and you get the starting of the friendships and relationships with the characters, and you see a bit more of the characters as they are. After the accident is more about the change in Izumi and how everything kind of deteriorates, how the sickness gets worse and worse, even after there is a scene just before the accident when they go and partake in a real festival that happens in the Hakata part of the city. It's like a ward, and it's called what's the translation of the name of the festival? I'm not sure. It's called the Akata John Yamakaza, and it's something that happens for real. So it's interesting that it's based on a real occurrence in that city. So it's grounded in the religious and ritual beliefs of that city.
yeah, and the information that they give about that festival is not a lie. But I believe that the festival actually happens in July or something rather than August.
Yes,
Um,
yes. It begins the 1st of July and ends in the middle of July.
another similarity with Eva. which is also I kind of commented on the article, is that so in Evangelion, for those who don't know, there are no seasons because of the second impact. Japan is stuck in an eternal summer, and it seems to be a feature in a lot of these Denpa works that they are set in summer. It's like an endless summer, and here I guess the endless summer would be the drought, essentially.
Yeah. Maybe it's because a lot of people really like summer on let's say a conceptual level rather than a realistic one. Because when summer arrives, yes, there is more sun. There are more beautiful days, but at the same time, water can become like scarce. There can be a scarcity of water. The days are really long. The heat can be unbearable, and a lot of people um, who suffer or struggle with depression or a bad mood. Usually, they say that summer is the worst time of the year.
So on the official site of well, on the English version of the official site for the movie, well, the archive of it anyway, because it has gone down anyway. And I put that link in the description if anyone wants to read it. There's an entry on the keywords page. There's an entry on August. So this is what it says. Everything bursts forth in August and then departs in the end. Anger, healing,
Mm.
love, and joy. August light, the energy of the universe shining in a cell. So that's August light. A melting pot of joy, the heat source for life confined. August rain, an invigorating elixir, a soothing passion and washing away all filth. August wind, Earth's love, massaging the skin. So that was the entry. There are a couple of other entries. There's one on high diving, one on water, and one on stones. So we might talk about them later if we talk about any of those things.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that sounds good.
Like I was saying, that the first part of the movie is the most grounded in, let's say, in the relationships and the growth of these characters, and their, in a sort, is them. There is a sort of, I don't know, almost ideal situation. Summer is finishing. This relationship is starting to bloom. This girl is going to be the new the new big name in Japanese high diving, and then at the same time you can see the signs of something going wrong, even if they are kept in the background. And after the accidents, instead they come to the forefront, even if the characters are reluctant to a degree to admit it. And maybe that's why it's a bit jarring. But I think it's intended to see how these otherworldly forces are working and tearing them apart.
Yeah. A lot of this, this idea of being trapped in a summer, or the natural cycle being broken, um, where in some way, and then the bad omens coming from that. Well, you will see this everywhere. You kind of see the opposite of that in the Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, where it's like perpetually summer. In that too, you also have world that a a world that has been taken over by um, evil forces. So yeah, it's really interesting to see this stuff um, sort of shine through every now and again.
Hmm.
And obviously in this film, all the characters sort of, well, most most of the characters sort of suffer because the natural way of things has been broken um, by some external force and a oh god, what's it called? It's completely escaped my certain ritual has to be performed to put the natural balance of things
Hmm.
back in order, which is
Even if
a
it's
very
something,
which
it's
is a
interesting because it's
idea
something
that
that they don't
I'm not
simply
really
want.
qualified to talk about.
No, no, makes sense. There is a balance. The balance is broken. Slowly, they realize more and more how this situation is deteriorating because of that. Then there is the accident, and now she knows how to fix it technically. Only she has to sort of Izumi has to realize that in a sense she's the sacrifice, she's the link, and she's sort of at the same time the entity that can sort all of this. Or to use another term, she is both the offering and the priestess for this ritual.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good way to think about it. Yeah, I was going to say something else, but it's completely escaped me, unfortunately. Uh, um,
So I didn't particularly find like I guess the coming of age romance stuff that interesting. Um, I don't like.
yeah,
No,
no,
it
I think the most interesting thing about it wasn't really the story. It was more how the story was told.
yeah.
Right. Um, yeah. It was a very normal, boy meets um, girl sort of, and some cute stuff happens, when when he's sort of taking her home, she like falls asleep on him, which is like a cute moment. Um, but as we've spoken about, it's sort of shown in this very sort of realistic way, and it's very grounded, and it feels like you're sort of experiencing this with the characters in a way,
Mhm.
as a observer, you know, which I really wish is uh, we we saw more in a film, just in general, because it's such a rare thing. But when it happens, it's I think it makes anything that you're showing like a way more engaging.
Yeah, I think it's because compared to other stories, the point of view was way closer. Very often it's seen from outside. This one, you almost felt you were in the same group with these people in the
Yeah,
moment, which I give credit to the director because he uh, made us feel this way. I do believe by the way he was framing the story, the cinematography and the pacing.
I have a favorite line from this film, and it's kind of at the end when it's raining and everyone runs out into the courtyard, and
Hmm.
the main protagonist's friend, he like he's really happy, and he starts jumping up and down, and then he shouts like at at the at the top of his voice, I can flush my toilet now. which uh, which 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 was just so funny. But also it that moment happens right after a tragic scene
Yeah,
where he's
but yes.
our protagonist loses his his a childhood darling,
Hmm.
um
And he
basically.
rushes to the forest.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, and he's just he's heartbroken, and then it starts raining, and but you know yeah, what I'm trying to say, if I can speak properly for a moment, is that this film makes this humor work really well, a lot alongside the tragedy, the
Hmm.
tragedy aspect, which is always a good sign. If you can get the comedy and the tragedy elements, then you know that's a sign that's you're a talented director. I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I liked Ukiya's character. So that's so the protagonist is called Mao,
Hmm.
and his
Oh,
friend
Mao, okay.
and his friend Ukiya is the one who made the joke that
Yeah.
you mentioned earlier. I would have preferred if they focused more on him and what was it, a
Yeah.
friend.
So yeah. Sorry, I I apologize if I'm talking too much, but there was a lot a lot of small funny scenes with him because there was another scene where he went and got like his star sign read to see if he was like compatible with like other
Yes.
women, and at the end of that scene she just sort of told him that oh yeah, like
Yeah. Don't even
you're
think
not
about
very compatible. Yeah, that that was like a good
Yeah,
scene.
I also liked like the friend with the computer who
Yeah.
basically told him his fortune using the computer, which was also neat. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
Hmm.
it's a very like very 90s. Yeah,
Hmm.
this is the sort of thing I'm into. My it really gets my fake nostalgia going.
yeah. I mean, there's information about the character. So about so her name, I think. No, I think she plays Matuo Reiko or whatever. And her real name is Reiko Matsuo. Blood, yeah, there's stuff like blood type, which is zero, hobbies,
Hmm.
favorite sport or whatever, which I don't know. Yeah, that's stuff doesn't really matter. Yeah. So, what did you guys think about the epilogue? I kind of felt like it was it really necessary? Um,
Mm.
Not really. I mean, I kind of think it would have been better if it was just left more open. He like didn't have to die of like a brain disease at the end.
Yeah.
It could like it could have just been, I'm going to search for the rest of my life, and then
you know,
if the film had like ended there,
yeah.
that
Yeah.
might have been better.
You know,
Those saying, and then I got married, and then I had children, and then I kept studying, and I started to forget. Okay,
yeah. I mean,
I understand that we're trying to go for the more melancholic angle, and ending with like him being able for the last time to see the his first love of his life. So that was kind of neat as an idea, but yeah, it was a bit too much.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like the concept, but it wasn't executed
If,
that well.
if you want to see the concept done right, I recommend Emanon, Memories of Emanon. That's Emanon. It's a manga where like there's this woman who is not immortal, but basically yeah, every time that she has a child, her child at a certain age will get the memories of yeah, her memories as well as all the previous memories of her versions. And yeah, they do it well because like there's a guy who meets her, well, one of her and they kind of fall in love sort of, and but then he gets married and stuff, and he's an old man, but he meets again, uh, one of the children
Hmm.
of Emanon, who obviously has the memories. Uh, Apparently, going back like all the way to like um, the back when she was a single cell organism or something silly like that.
Quite interesting as a concept.
And that one though has more of a 60s kind of mood rather than the 90s, but maybe it's not that different. But it's still the same melancholic kind of thing. So another thing,
I think it's something that it's present in the um, well, Eastern sensibility of Japan. So I'm not too surprised that it's something that happens in more than one work.
I
This
see.
idea of memories being more like ripples on a lake or something like this that keeps echoing.
Hmm. So one of the problems you said that you had, Yasmo, is that you thought that the second half in particular was too preachy.
To a degree. I don't know if it was being preachy or if it was just to give some kind of context to the situation, but it felt a bit preachy. For example, um, seems like there is an underlying message of, to a degree, of humanity bad. Maybe it's just me being someone who
No, no,
doesn't.
no, yeah, I agree. I think it's sort of out and out told to you in the science class where the
Yeah,
science
that one. But
say,
at the same time, I felt like maybe that's just one voice. But then,
mm,
even in other parts, it's sort of a little bit when there is the patience. That one was kind of funny because there is this person with, you can see he had an accident. He has his neck is restrained. He has a fractured arm and leg, and he's watching a TV show where some like it's like three hosts are talking about how in the future we could transfer ourselves into microchips and don't need the body and explore the universe. And you can see this person like almost wishing for that since he's all broken and probably in pain, waiting in a hospital lounge to be seen again by a doctor. That one I found it kind of like low key humorous the way they were portraying the scene.
yeah. It was humorous. Maybe like yeah, I haven't really figured out if how much in earnest um they're sort of trying to push this concept. I mean, you know, I'm good to bring up G Gundam, right? Um in a G Gundam, Master Asia uh sort of comes to the conclusion that he needs to use the Devil Gundam to rid the Earth of humans in order to save the Earth. But then Domon sort of at the end goes and talks to him, and he basically he reminds Master Asia of why you want to save the Earth in the first place. Like the reason why you want to save the Earth is like literally in service of humans, and and then the
Hmm.
Master Asia is like, oh yeah, I guess I'll stop being evil now, and but so that's my comeback. It's like it it's like well, you would kind of have to think like what's saving the Earth, what's the purpose of that, right?
Hmm.
uh,
I do believe this comes from, let's say, how different our concept of saving the earth is when seen from a Western slash Christian perspective compared to a Japanese slash Shintoist point of view. Because since they are sort of like, it's a sort of panentheism for them, everything is imbued with a divine force, but in the real sense, not like us. For us Christians, it's more like, the presence of God is felt through nature, but nature is something below him. It's his creation. He left a. It's like someone molding. let's say argile or some other like form of sculpturing kind of soily item and leaving fingerprints. For them, it's more like this pile of, of dust. It's literally filled with the energy with that it's God itself and God its all, and we are part of it's a different concept, and that's why I think they've got this sense that they need to fear nature to a degree. And it's not something I saw only in this movie. I saw other anime with for example, a movie that I really disliked. I don't say it's a bad movie in itself, but I really disliked for this reason, and I hated some of the characters. Is Princess Mononoke by Studio Ghibli, because the message is very similar. It's even stronger there. Respect nature, or else one day she'll come to you and punch you straight in the face. Which is different from, let's say, the Christian message, which is respect nature because it's being given to you, and you are pretty much you are being put in place to keep it and take care of it, and you are living here. So you need to make sure that when the master comes back, finds out that not only the house but the garden is in good shape.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, I kind of like I'm not like a Christian, though. Like I mean, well, to be honest, if you ask me to um explain my sort of religious views, we'll be here for quite a while. But I sort of I sort of view the world as like like something in between these two visions,
Hmm.
where like I uh, I I sort of recognize that there are rules that we can like we as humans can break, but we can only sort of break these rules for so long
No, that's
um,
absolutely true. That I
before
agree 100%.
before there's like consequences, right? But that's kind of the end of it for me.
No,
Like
in that regard,
our
I agree 100%.
but our relationship with like with nature is that we're sort of on the same level, but um because of our like advancements, we've sort of got to a point where we're kind of where we're sort of like getting above it.
Hmm.
We're not really there to look after it, but we sort of have to because of our situation,
No,
and that's
that
kind of
makes
like
sense.
my position.
Hmm. So yeah, interesting factoid. Apparently, Quentin Tarantino um, put personally thanked the director of this film in the credits of Kill Bill, but for other stuff which he has worked on. I think
Yeah,
it.
for what I saw on the online article about this guy, he was he was, because I think he hasn't released a movie in a while. Is part of the of the Japanese cyberpunk movement, and some of it. So I can see why it would be someone that Tarantino would thank. Probably some of his other movies are way more surreal. I have no idea.
So
You know, I was thinking that because this film flew under the radar, like just imagine like how good like other films coming out of sort of coming out at this sort of point in time were I want to see like more Japanese films from like this year now.
Hmm.
Though I do I have made like a small ranking as you know where like where well so far it's like five films and it's basically all the films that are Japanese and live action, right? And I think this film is like second to the top, and I still think Love Exposure gets first billing.
What's I love Exposure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know if you would like it, Kiasma, but it's pretty fun. Yeah.
I'll
Uh,
have to see.
yeah. It's sort of how would you describe it? So Fahrenheit. I mean,
you would just have to watch the trailer. I can't. It's unexplainable.
You can send me a link later on. Now I'm curious. But yeah, that's my
Yeah,
only real gripe with how the story is told, and some of these moments where they seem to say humanity bad, and
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
the rest
yeah,
of the movie is quite interesting. Even the side characters all shine. The two paranormal researchers are quite interesting. from the from their clothing to the way they talk and interact with the characters. Even if they've got like just a few minutes, they stick in your mind because they are quite unique. They don't follow archetypes like that much. Yes, they are interested in the paranormal. Yes, they're a bit weird, but they are their own kind of weird.
yeah, yeah. But they're they oh God, sorry. If I could speak, um, they do you feel like the producers like felt like two random old men, and they just, and they just asked them to film with the cast.
S-
Yeah,
s-
they did come off as quite and
Natural.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah, like
yeah. I mean,
In
natural
the
man.
element.
one of the two old men was, I believe, actually a member of like the local council or whatever of the city.
Yeah, you told me, yeah.
Big,
Which
yeah,
could be plausible because sometimes it feels a little bit like one of those short like trailers to visit a place or something like that, where they show the different parts. They show the city, then they show the parks around the city, and then the mountain
yeah.
area.
On the Wikipedia, on the Japanese Wikipedia, well, I've Google translated this, and it says that the film was produced with the full cooperation of Fukuoka City, and was first released was to be released in the Fukuoka prefecture first, then the rest of Japan. So the film aired
Makes
first.
sense.
Yeah, it was I guess sort of promotional. I guess.
Hmm.
Do you guys feel like visiting Fukuoka after
I
seeing the
don't
film?
know. For sure, they got some weird stuff going on.
I mean, the whole thing with the festival, I thought like that's basically tourist
Yeah,
promotion
you can
essentially.
just you can pretty
Yeah,
much just cut the scenes where they film the festival and just have it online. It would be like, come to visit us during the summer festival.
Yeah. So
yeah. Just speaking of the city for a little bit, what I noticed was uh, sort of everywhere like were these sort of big modern buildings, and I was sort of like I was trying to think like why are these sort of postmodern slash modern architectural builds not um bad, like how is it that I sort of get almost sort of like a optimism from looking at these buildings where if like if I sort of walk up, up to my university, which is basically just like also a collection of like postmodern slash modern buildings, I don't like I don't feel the optimism. I guess I I don't really know why. I think the only reason I sort of feel optimistic when I sort of look back at the backgrounds of this film is is because like I have massive rose-tinted vision for the 90s because I basically never lived in that place and time. So I just sort of I don't know. I uh, I
I do believe, yeah, that's
imagine
something like that. Plus, it seems like the buildings are not that tall. That's already
that's
something
true.
that humanizes them a little bit. They are, even when you consider there is quite a lot of them, they seem to be a bit more spaced out, and there is a more of a human touch to most of them. You see also a lot of green in between of them. In the scenes where they are on the roof and they look at the city, you can see trees, a lot of trees everywhere. There's always a few spots of green.
So
And the landscape itself, it's not too, again, it's because these buildings are not too tall and they seem to be spaced out quite a lot. And when there are they show also some of the old buildings, but even in the modern ones, I just say this, you can still see um, a lot of human touches. You see that all the signs, all the cables. There is like a more vivid human presence that very often is missing in a lot of skyscrapers, where there is all it's pristine. There are no signals that human people live there, pretty much.
so
Yeah, yeah. I guess it felt less sort of less designed, which like might sound weird because obviously like
no,
everything
but that is
in
correct.
a city is
Yeah.
going to be designed, but
Um.
it felt way more sort of comfortable. I don't know, like
Hmm.
I really wish that because like it's kind of tragic that so, like so much architecture um feels just so sort of kind of like oppressive. Like I don't really like using that word, but it really does like it's sort oftentimes like buildings are are made way too large than they really should be.
I
I can sort of give a example, right? I mean, one of the buildings dedicated to my university is sort of a big sort of lecture theatre building.
Hmm.
But I mean, this like this building is decadent, right? The stairways are like 3 times wider than they really should be. You know, all the lecture halls are very shallow and they're like these massive sort of open places with like very too little seating. And like I just feel that this was obviously designed by like some trendy architect
Hmm.
somewhere, but they didn't really think about like
Let's put it this way: it's
you know
grandeur for the sake of grandeur. There is no point in making something this big and this large if you don't think about the human
I
element.
yeah yeah exactly. I would describe it as sort of a movement away from uh, it's more like it's more like it's more like designed by a designer than designed by a engineer, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think so so I guess with the way the city was shown, like it felt very crowded. So like it makes sense that there are so many
Hmm.
buildings because it's so crowded, rather than
Yeah,
it's
in
just big.
in the scenes with the festival, you can really feel how many people are there.
Um,
But at the same time, because the streets, even the back streets, seemed quite wide, so maybe that's why they didn't feel oppressive. It seems like they kept in consideration the human factor, even when there is a big crowd.
it sort of reminds me of a meme where like like they will show like a bunch of like a scenery or whatever, and
Ah,
a-
yeah,
and
Yeah, yeah. I'm
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It's like
I'm
generic European city, and there's like this grand old face, and then generic city,
Yeah,
but Japan, and maybe just a cherry tree, and it's like so great.
yeah.
The soil.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I think part of it is also because like a lot of these cities were quickly built after the war, like according to whatever was
Hmm.
needed. Like there wasn't a lot of older architecture which was replaced or something like that, or like
Even because
yeah.
a lot of the buildings before the war, not all but a lot, were built like with wood, not with other resistant materials. So very few are
Yeah,
left.
it wasn't designed properly. Like they just built whatever they needed, essentially. So
Futurism, really.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm quite conscious of that need, and do try my best, like, not to look at outside cultures too sort of optimistically for that reason, and I sort of try my best to find, like, find the good where I am, and like there is, like, there is genuine good here in the UK, right? But there's this saying that I think really sort of applies to everyone to a certain extent, and that saying is the grass is always greener on the other side, right?
Yeah.
yeah. And another thing, I guess, like like the camera is a bit grainy, so or maybe like
Hmm.
so maybe like you get sort of like a 80s like cyberpunk kind of feel. So it's kind of
Yeah.
so stuff looks grimy, but it also looks cool. Um,
Hmm.
something
Plus,
like that.
the color palette is always like gives you the idea of this very hot summer, but because of the grainy image, there is something ethereal about it.
So on the keywords page, like there's an entry on Fukuoka. So Fukuoka, Hakata, maybe that's what they call in Japanese. It's in brackets Hakata. So Fukuoka is both a techno city and a city of nature, where inspiration, brought over from the continent by wind and sea currents, coexisting in conflict with Kyushu's majestic nature. A Japanese Asian bazaar, um, where a unique time, space, culture, and environment are immersed in the flow, forming the fascinating Fukuoka mandala. What the fuck does mandala mean? Anyway, that's um,
I never heard of that word.
yeah. They kind of try like like I checked the Japanese so there's also a Japanese version of this page as well, and usually like the Google translated version of the Japanese page would make more sense than the official
But
English English version of this. Yeah, so basically it kind of says the things that we have said. Like you kind of get the feeling that like it's like like a techno city or whatever they want to call it, like right next to nature. Like nature is never too far away.
mhm,
Um, and about I guess the environmentalism, like so earlier you described it in terms of like Japanese folklore, Shintoism or whatever, but
to a degree, at
yeah,
least, yeah.
it kind of feels uh, like a reaction of that culture to environmentalism essentially, and also I guess the fact that Japan industrialized pretty fast. um I guess you do get sort of that
Hmm.
oh, industrialism is bad kind of feel. um
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
The
like
problem for me, the problem is how on the nose it is compared to older times when, for example, um, the message about the danger of over-industrialization, etc., appear even in the Lord of the Ring. But there, they are interwoven a bit better. They are not the main focus, and they are not, even if they are
yeah, like
rather blunt,
there isn't a like
they work better.
Yeah, I mean that's like a sense of urgency here, like do something now or else it's over. That kind of
Hmm.
thing.
Like, can you imagine, for example, if Gandalf the White, instead of saying uh, he has a mind as a in a body of gears, when talking about what Saruman is doing, will go on a rant of how useless humans are at preserving the forest of the
I
Middle
mean,
Earth.
honestly though, I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether it's actually about environmentalism or whether like that was
No,
just
no,
because
it
that
is a commentary also on that, but that's why it works way better, because it doesn't beat you on the head about.
yeah. I mean, like I guess yeah, I don't know. Like I don't exactly understand. Like so basically, is when Izumi gets is sent to like this weird mental health
Mhm.
institute or whatever. Like
The part about the rock people was a bit
yeah,
strange.
the stone
Yeah.
people. I think the idea, as far as I get it, it's supposed to be something like all human beings actually came from another world, and they used to be stone or whatever. So given that you're talking about that, there's also an entry on stones here. So let's read that. S- uh, st-
That's a very nice segue.
yeah, stone is another fountain of life. They say another because the previous entry was about water. So
Hmm.
stone is another fountain of life, bearing within itself the memory of the beginning of the universe. Stone is the symbol of the power facing destructive, quote, death, unquote, with its sense of weight, rejection, and incompatibility. The crystallization of stone entraps human feeling and consciousness. Its fear and warning emit a faint light that burns up the screen. Um,
Mm.
yeah, I don't know if that clarified actually anything.
Not
Really,
really.
not really.
I do believe he's trying to say how water is something that is always changing because it's part of the cycle. Water then evaporates, gets into the
No, no.
skies, then it's
Yeah.
rain, gets into
I was reading the
and it's,
entry about. Sorry, I was reading the entry about stones, not
no,
water.
and I'm saying, and that's the exact opposite of what the rock is. The rock is something that um, is, and that's it. When you think about the rock, you think they're saying something solid, unmovable, and that doesn't change in the face of whatever happens around. Even if it's not true, we know that mountains, the only destiny of a mountain is to crumble, and that in time water can erode the stone. But the idea is that stone is something that never changes. That boulder is gonna be that boulder no matter what. That body of water, we never know. It could evaporate, could cause a flood in the future, etc. So maybe that's why they were saying that maybe that's the nature of man to a degree, that we don't want to change in the face of what's around us.
So I'll try reading the Google Translate version now this time. So,
Let's
uh,
see.
stone is another source of life that encompasses uh, memories from the beginning of the universe. Stone is a symbol of
Mhm.
the power towards destructive death, the sense of weight, the sense of rejection, the sense of incongruity. The stone crystals that contain human consciousness and emotions. The warnings and fears of the faint light burn the screen. Yeah,
I still don't get it.
yeah, still don't get it. I think
I'll be 100%
yeah,
honest. I don't understand.
yeah. I think I, I have a vague memory of having read somewhere that um, it's it's supposed to be that so human beings were originally made of stone or whatever, but then they became because of I mean they talk about this in the movie. I think the unique
Yeah, it's
fact
something
that
that I heard as
yeah
well, but
yeah,
cannot.
yeah. The fact that that there's water on Earth is a unique thing. So I guess like one of the things that some of the reviewers, I guess if I can't find the review, but one of the reviewers was complaining essentially that the movie kind of bit off more than it could chew. That it just moved on from one thing to the other too much. Like
A little bit, I agree. I'd say that's a good point, especially. Um, I think the movie has a problem in the second part where he introduces a lot of concepts that could have been introduced a bit earlier. For example, that's why the turning to stone sickness works well. The heat's growing more and more as the month goes by. Work really well because you can feel it from the beginning, and it keeps piling up. Instead, these concepts are thrown at one point, and you feel like, okay, now what?
Yeah. I just feel like the whole humans used to be stone people. This like whole bit could just sort of be like cut out of the film, and I don't think it really would have made any difference. To be honest, I don't know.
Yeah, could have been explored a bit better. There are quite a few interesting concepts, but then there are, I don't know, they seem to be used a bit erratically through the movie.
Were like a lot of just shots of mushrooms, and I think this is a clue into the creative technique.
Yeah,
Um,
I thought that they basically just found some mushrooms which looked cool, so let's just put it in the movie. Why not? Uh,
yeah, not only in the movie, probably they did it.
oh, not only in the
Just for
movie. Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. It could have been those kind of. Okay, so the
the funny mushrooms.
here um okay, so here's a bit about the film, I guess. So for context, so this is from a review on daysdigital.com. It's like the only review, so like if you'll find it by searching by yourself. So for context, there isn't another film like August in the Water, not even in Ishii's filmography. In the 80s, Ishii was famed for directing uh, raucous punk bands, either in music videos or his 1982 dystopian thriller Burst City. Then he reinvented himself. In a rare English language interview, Ishii, who was known as Sogo Ishii before 2012, as we talked,
Hmm.
uh, cites Philip K. Dick and J.G. Ballard as inspirations for his trippy um, metaphysical 90s movies such as Angel Dust and August in the Water. So this is Ishii. Ishii said virtual reality was coming up in Japan, and the metafiction these writers use in their novels was really similar to what was happening in Japan at this time. But I don't know, like I didn't feel like there was anything about virtual reality in this film anyway.
No.
Not really.
No, they were talking about interfacing with machines and abandoning pretty
Again,
much
yeah.
that.
Again, like that kind of went nowhere. Like it was
Yeah,
just flat.
yeah. It could have been interesting to see these ideas through a Shintoist perspective. The idea of the spirit of trapping pretty much the human spirit in a machine and sending it out in the space, which would be the same as this wavelength of these waves coming from the explosion of the stars. And still, it is interesting that they were touching on those topics. I don't know if I would say it's that relevant in the movie itself.
And another thing, for example, the fact that she can talk to dolphins. I didn't even realize that like she was able to talk to the dolphins. I only realized that after reading some reviews or whatever, because
Well, it's not like explicit. You can see that she is like at the beginning of the movie. They already said that they like her, and then after that, you can see them pretty much piling in a corner to try and be as close as possible to her,
yeah,
which made me laugh because well, maybe it was a grim laugh in my game, because there are many cases of dolphins misbehaving around females of the human species. So
Yep.
and
they
you,
could
you would know, of
do.
course.
No, because I need to say this. I came to know this because I was reading about animal life, especially um, dolphins and other mammals who live in the water. And one of the topics was that how dolphins can become rather excited around man. And another one was an episode of King of the Hill where something like that happens. It's
Yeah.
Hank Hill.
Yeah. Well,
Hank Hill is the one that pays the price.
Yeah, so
well,
the
yeah. I sort of learnt about this because I was watching a documentary about a doctor who was trying to teach dolphins how to speak English.
Oh gosh, okay. I think I know. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
I
yeah.
know.
And that's how I learnt that male dolphins can and will try it with humans.
Yeah, they try eating on the on their train.
okay, that's enough. So um, going back to the movie, what did you guys think of uh, the high diving scenes? So just what?
A bit prolonged sometimes, but I like them because there are many interesting shots.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It wasn't it it's a sort of thing I will get bored of. Like I can't like I kind of get bored of watching the Olympics. Like I can't really watch the Olympics
Me
for too
neither.
long. It's like, yeah, okay, I'll watch like two dives and that's just like me done. Okay,
Hmm.
I get I
Same,
I get the
same
point.
with like
Uh,
Formula One. Those these sports are a bit boring.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I think it's because it was a sort of like shot from many different angles.
Yeah.
Also the music helped, and
The editing
and
as well.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
In
the
certain
editing,
points, there was like to show you the passing of times and how many jumps everyone is doing. There is like that quick edit of the various athletes jumping and eating the water with the dreamy music. It
yeah,
felt
yeah,
good. A bit slow at times, but never boring.
During the
Plus,
accident, yeah, God.
no, I think there's like three scenes, no? Where it's like there is one where she's just training, then there is the first competition, and then there is the big tournament where she has the accident. So it's not that many, but and I think they were used well.
Yeah, during the accident, like there's a scene when the water turns to stone, right?
And I think that represents her rather than the water. Like she is becoming of stone in that moment, and that's when when the stone person inhabits her, and that's why she dies in a sense in that scene. Which then later she explains like this. Maybe that's why everything felt so fresh after I recovered from the accident, because it was me, but I wasn't there anymore.
Yeah. So that moment looked a little bit. The effects there looked a little bit low budget to me. Like,
Yeah, but in a charming way.
yeah, as did
yeah,
the net scene. Immediately when protagonist Kun goes to save the dummy
Hmm.
at the bottom of the of the pool.
Yeah, that one I was
yeah,
like, no, no, this is. Plus, they cut it too. I know it would have been dangerous to ask the actors now go to the bottom of the swimming pool and wait for someone. I can understand that they don't want to. They didn't want to endanger real person's life, but yeah, it felt a little bit cheap. Plus, you can see that the actor is struggling to return to the surface because they cut to
Yeah,
black.
right.
You can,
Yeah, you can. Yeah,
really, it's really
I was,
trying, but it
I was like
can't.
worried.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
since that in that moment, Izumi has been turned into stone, literally. It makes sense that he will struggle, but yeah, I felt a bit like cut, cut, cut. That's it. We don't want to see the struggle too much.
yeah,
That was really.
I yeah, I know that if you hit water at a certain height, at sort of the wrong angle,
Mhm.
it can cause you like serious injuries and
Oh
like
yeah, it's like
potentially comas.
I
Um,
think above like 10 or 15 meters is like if you hit, let's say, stomach first, it's like slamming into concrete. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's like awful. My interpretation of the scene is that she was very anxious because of the pressure her coach was sort of putting her, right?
Yeah.
and and it's not it's not like there was some like intervention happening. It was more like she just messed up because like
Yeah,
her
could be.
morale because her morale was sort of like spoilt after her like first dive because she like messed up a little bit, and
Mm-hmm.
and then like because she wasn't really in like the mood, she like really screwed up this like next dive. And then after that, when she's sort of in a coma and she experiences this sort of near death experience, that's when she has this enlightenment, and that's how she wins the or sort of gains a way to sort of set the natural order back, right? Um,
Okay.
that's like my interpretation, but yeah, I don't
I
know.
felt it was like something like that for sure. That was one of the elements, and at the same time, something happened in conjunction with that.
So
Like it was the bad events. It was like a piling up of the accident itself, and this change in her, and her being struck by these mysterious powers. And
so
that's
Yeah,
how I see it. Doesn't seem to your interpretation is also interesting.
so that, that
Well, sorry, Ken.
So
Yeah.
no, you finish. It's all right.
This is good, you know. It's up for interpretation. You know,
yes,
I quite like films that sort of do this.
a little bit of wiggle room for fun
Yeah, exactly.
speculation.
Yeah. So we could have our intellectual discussions. Anyway,
Or maybe like you know,
not that I would call myself an
yeah.
intellectual, obviously.
Or I mean, like I mean, it's thanks to that Eva has like a huge wiki called Eva
Yes,
Geeks. Yeah.
yes, and also a lot of people with mental conditions
Yes, get
have
interested
also
in it.
watched that
Mm,
show. Yeah, I feel like no, actually, you know what? I actually suddenly felt the urge to talk about Ava, but I resisted it.
Yeah, I see. I see. Yeah, they're already selling enough, waifu whatever figurines, so we don't need our help. So let's see. So that's an
modern idols.
yeah. I mean, they call them idols. So high diving, and now virtual idols as well. Anyhow, high diving. So this is the entry about high diving, given that we're talking about that. So. As an image, the most beautiful of sports in its tension, vigor, fear, and joy. Sharp, flexible flesh, and a tough spiritual strength. combating the fear of death, dance at the limit of the moment. The body,
Well,
yeah.
no, finish. I thought it was the answer.
So the body of a soaring young woman, lovely as a sprite, radiated by the august light, as a lucid catharsis condensed in an instant, it becomes a cinematic emotion. Well,
Hmm.
that doesn't seem to have been the case for Fahrenheit when watching the Olympics, I guess. Uh,
Well, this I think is the kind of emotion that the director wanted to portray, and to a degree, I think it works. Some of the shots when some of them panning and following the athletes, or when they are, there's like a few of them is like you can see the sun almost burning your retina, and you see just the black outline of these girls jumping into the water. Some of the shots indulge a little bit, but not too much, on their bodies. I think it's done just to show the beauty of of this sport itself. I think it has a point. Makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
This
yeah,
description
yeah,
seems.
yeah. Yeah, it's a very elegant. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I don't know if it's the most beautiful sport in the world. I still believe boxing and female beach volley are the top ones, but uh,
No, it's a female high jump. That's the greatest sport of all time for reasons that would not be disclosed here.
we
Anyway,
shall make the top 10 list in the near future of the best sports to watch as a male enthusiast.
but I guess I think he was going for that too. Let's be honest.
A
Uh,
little bit. I don't think there is anything wrong with the idea of. Uh, I wouldn't say indulge or anything. No, they just show some. I don't know.
it's
Good-looking girls. I'm not gonna say they are like.
it's incidental. Let's say it's
Yeah, it's something because it's the female body to the male eye is something beautiful, and there is nothing wrong with that. Thank God for that.
yeah.
Literally, because otherwise there would be no children in this world.
Well,
yes.
okay. Um,
Thank you, women. Anyway,
and
I'm,
anyway,
I'm yeah. I'm sorry to say this, but I do kind of have to call it here. But obviously you guys can keep going.
All right,
okay. Yeah,
thank you. It's been nice to
Yeah,
discuss
yeah,
this
yeah.
movie together.
I
Yeah,
guess
yeah. It's
give
been a
us
really awesome.
I guess final thoughts and rating or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. This film is a 7 out of 10 for me. The music was good. Um, very nostalgic. Very sort of dreamlike. Very sort of embodying. Um, yeah, I think if you're some like poor soul who's watching this, uh, um, um,
Get help.
if I were you, it's it's a very it's very easy to get hold of this film and watch this film, and this film really does deserve more attention than it's got, because it is a genuinely good film that
Yeah.
I I personally enjoyed watching and talking about with these guys. So yeah, that's it basically. I'll see.
Rating number,
I'll talk.
out of
I'll
10.
talk to. Yeah,
You
yeah,
said
yeah, right,
it's
seven.
seven.
Right there. Yeah, seven.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yes, but anyway, I'll be back next week so we can talk about the Welcome to NHK novel.
Novel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's gonna be good too. Yeah, there we
All
go.
right.
Thank you for
There we
coming.
guys. I'll talk to you later. See you.
Bye.
See you. Take care.
I guess what's there left? What loose ends are there left? Um,
Well, we can talk a little bit again. There is this interesting at one point when they go. She starts to after the accident. The sister, who is a secondary character, Izumi's sister starts to be worried about the girl because she seems distant. She doesn't talk to her anymore, and Mao gives her a diary, and then she says to him that something is calling pretty much her, and they embark on a small journey to an archaeological site. And then from there, it's when I think the plot gets a bit. I wouldn't say weird because the plot is weird, but a bit too convoluted. Too many new elements all of a sudden are thrown into the mix.
Hmm.
And
I,
that's what really hurts the movie at that point, I think. Too many new ingredients are thrown into the pot.
New ingredients like you mean like the meteorites and the murder. Uh,
Yeah.
what else?
So there is the two meteorites that were mentioned, but then they appear and they don't do much with them. The murderer, that's like, who are you? Literally, when there is the reveal, he's like, no, I have no idea who this guy is. Who's this guy? And everyone is like, I don't know. She seems to understanding there is like a connection between the two, but we are left completely in the dark, which was a little bit disappointing. Um, so yeah, this movie at that point becomes at the same time slow paced and incredibly fast in moving the plot along. It again keeps lingering with these shots of various parts of the city or the forest or the archaeological site, and then they need to quickly catch up because they will realize otherwise the movie would be like 3-4 hours, which maybe this one could be redone. We should get the same director, absolutely, but could be redone as a sort of short TV series, like 6-7 episodes.
Somebody like the one review which is out there said compared this said that there was nothing like this at the time except X Files. Did this feel like X Files to you?
Not having watched much of the X Files, I don't want to draw comparisons,
Hmm. Fair enough.
but it felt like, well, maybe a little bit the idea of something that's difficult to believe and yet someone wants to believe it is a little bit always the background in this movie. This idea of this radiation and the main character being skeptic. So yeah, I can see a little bit of a parallelism there, but I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah. This is more artsy and less effects. Scientific. I mean,
Yeah,
special
and a
effects.
way it's a lot more about the internal emotion, the lives of these characters with these strange events at the
Yeah.
background, even when they move in the foreground.
It's not like
Uh,
revealing what the aliens look like at the end of an Indiana Jones movie or something. Um,
mhm.
right. One good thing which did come out of that the whole thing with the murderer stealing meteorites for some reason was that scene where the police surround.
Yeah, it was a
Is
bit weird.
I like it though. I like
No, it was weird again in the right way. It felt almost surreal and almost like a painting. The way the camera panned out and then stopped.
yeah
It felt
yeah, with all the policemen just just
ready
hanging
to
around.
go. Yeah,
Yeah.
with their sticks on the ready, and the dog. I really like that the dog was like really happy. You could hear.
Yeah. Let's see what else. I think we have mostly covered everything.
Mhm. it's a movie that it's difficult to talk about honestly because it's something that honestly needs to be experienced. I loved, right, really something I really loved was this slow parts of the beginning when you can feel the heat of the summer. You can feel these young people who are still wondering what to do with their lives, and it's something that I really wish I could capture in the future for one of my ideas for a story. But
Hmm.
in that movie, it felt like really how I would love to be able to portray a summer like that. You could feel the heat pretty much on your body as you were watching.
Yeah, yeah, especially during the, there's those shots of the water evaporating on like speeded
Yeah.
up, but
Hmm.
also during the festival when they're
Hmm.
literally throwing water at the people.
That
And
scene was
yeah,
really good because you could feel how these people were so involved with this
yeah.
celebration.
I read somewhere, by the way, that during the filming, there actually was like water
Oh yeah,
cuts
you told me, yes.
of up to 12 hours a day or something like that.
So
I,
it worked in favor probably. Maybe they even changed. I wonder if this influenced the story to a degree. Like if some of the scenes were changed or were made to look even better because the elements were against them and yet on their side when it came
yeah,
to the core idea of the movie.
it was actually dry, pretty dry.
Yeah, like you can really feel it.
Um,
It felt so dry that if you were to stick out your tongue, you can lit a match on it.
yeah, and another thing which I did like is how the characters just take it for granted that like the fortune telling works or whatever. There's no
Yeah.
wasting time on like, oh, that's not,
Well,
yeah.
the main protagonist it tries to stay skeptic, but it's worried. But that's mostly because I do believe at this point he really cares for her. It's like sentimentally attached. So of course, if someone were to say, by the way, this accident involving this girl that you care for, even if you don't believe it, you in the back of your head something will be like an alarm will ring and be like, what if it's true?
Yeah, I mean, I think certain other things like which we could talk about, like Izumi's character after the accident. I think the movie does a good job of explaining it. Like,
Yeah.
she literally tells us that you know, and her boyfriend that now she feels like there's no difference between her and everything else. Blah blah
Mhm.
blah. Yeah, and so on.
The change in the character was well done. Absolutely, you felt that there was something almost eerie about her. Felt weird, otherworldly, and yet it was done in a way that wasn't like intrusive or bombastic. They didn't need to go full Hollywood with weird special effects.
By the way, did the rock formation thing feel cheap and
In
derivative?
some shots, a little bit felt like it was a bit cheap. I must admit, certain shots made me think of old Super Sentai series.
Fun fact, by the way, the actress would go on to be popular. Like the actress playing Izumi, she would go on to be
Uh-huh.
popular playing Super Sentai.
Oh god,
I think Kamen
this
Rider.
movie was prophetic in one way.
Yeah, uh, yeah. She does look like the kind of person that they would pick, I guess.
Mhm.
So yeah, I guess
But it didn't feel like, I would say, it felt a little bit cheap, but never tacky, never like that would pull me away from the experience.
I mean a little bit like especially in the epilogue where they show the character as older, but like there's nothing all about him is he's just wearing glasses, spectacles,
Mhm.
to make it seem older, like it has been a while or
Well,
something.
they say that Asian people age better. That
I guess so. I guess so.
must be their diet. The usual things that come up.
I see.
But no, yeah, that was a little bit. It was okay. It wasn't great, it wasn't the worst. At least they didn't try to make him age like by dyeing his hair gray or something like that.
Yeah.
With that smooth face and
Hmm.
would have been really weird.
Okay. So how again? Would you also rate this as a 7 out of 10?
I would say I would give it 2 votes because on one side the movie itself, how it's built, how it's crafted, I would give it a 8. The plot, the plot starts well. The plot until, let's say, after the accident in the first part when they go for the first time to the mountain, it's a 7. But the later part, I find it a bit too flawed, and I say it's a 6.
Hmm.
So the movie itself, how it's crafted, the atmosphere and the characters, it's a solid 8. And the story, 6.5, almost a 7,
Hmm.
because there are still interesting concepts and there is a strange um, kind of tragedy and humor that it's very well balanced in the story itself, which elevates it a little bit.
Would you describe this as an art house film?
Um, no, it was. Um, I can say that there are a few elements that feel like this, but at the same time, it's executed, and some of these concepts don't feel like an house art type of movie.
Yeah,
That's why
it's
it's
more
so
poppy.
unique.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's yeah. I mean, I found this through the post about Dempa, so like I guess that's pop culture kind of sort of thing.
yeah,
Uh,
but it's a pop culture that seems to be aging well compared, because very often when I think about pop culture is something that becomes famous for like 3 4 years and then everyone looks back at, you remember it more like in an ironic way, like, oh, remember when we used to like. I
yeah,
do remember.
yeah. Basically, like you mentioned Super Sentai, so something like that. I guess. Though in that case, it's more like on purpose. Like it's literally people in
Yeah,
rubber suits. Yeah.
you can still enjoy them. Absolutely, there's still something good. There is a earnestness to them that makes them endearing. But at the same time, you can see that it's
Yeah, I mean,
rather.
I guess another thing is that like they tend to be more comic than
Yeah,
uh,
there is always a sense of levity. They don't take themselves too seriously.
yeah. I mean, you can still have
It's,
something comic which is now, yeah, which is
they
still
are they are pretty much live action cartoons,
yeah, yeah, pretty much.
while this one didn't feel like that at all. It felt something that was both dreamy and grounded, which is a difficult balance to achieve.
Um, what did you think of the acting? Did you if you wrote anything about it?
I really liked. I don't know. They felt real. All the characters felt like they were behaving in a realistic way for the situation, and they didn't overact or underact for what little we got of them. Of course, not speaking Japanese, I cannot I cannot say if they were talking in in a way that make them sound weird or bored. But the emotions that were coming through felt real.
Hmm. Hmm. I thought that the main guy actor, the protagonist, I guess he's the protagonist. Yeah, he
Hmm.
he felt a little bit stiff. I don't know.
I can see that. Don't know. It felt like it was rather the character, how they told him to perform,
Hmm. Yeah, I mean,
because
I guess,
it
yeah,
felt like it was his character rather than someone not being able to
act.
act.
Yeah,
So Mao felt that the kind of person that is a little bit like that, a little bit introvert, that tries not to make too much noise, whereas his friend Ukia was the more I don't know how to describe it. It was more like energy. He didn't care much about the consequences, how he acted around other people. In a good way, again. He felt like a teenager. They
yeah,
felt like both of them felt like they were
teenagers.
the
Yeah,
age they were supposed to portray.
yeah. Yeah. I guess maybe that's why it's not a art house film. I don't know because it's about. I mean, you can't have an art house film about like a coming of age kind of with teenagers or whatever. But yeah.
Mm.
Anyway, okay. So given that the title is August in the Water, let's read the section about water, and
Mhm.
let's end it there. I'll also give it a 7 out of 10, but mostly I guess mostly for the mood and the visuals. I didn't really care that much about the plot or the characters, like what would happen to them or whatever. Which is why,
For sure,
yeah,
yeah, for sure, the mood and how they filmed the environments. That's something that I saw in very few movies done so well.
like
It's difficult to
yeah, like
describe it.
it's the sort of thing which looks good if when you put it into like like those 5 to 10 or maybe even less long at YouTube videos which will
Mhm.
have some music and some
Yeah,
all Japanese movie or
exactly.
not that old, basically 90s Japanese movie playing in the background. Yeah,
Together with the psychedelic music, yeah, I
yeah,
felt
yeah.
not even psychedelic, but for sure,
I
dreamlike, oniric music
exactly.
made it feel like something really unique.
The soundtrack is up there on YouTube. Give it a listen and see if you like that.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah. So I'll read the bit about water and then let's
Hmm.
call it a day. So water, the fountain of life, was produced in the universe only on Earth and through an endless series of miracles. Water is the symbol of the power facing creative life, with its sense of buoyance, tolerance, and ecstasy. Water's gradations. That comfortable yet forgotten physiological sense transforms into an unknown cinematic experience. They really like using the word cinematic. Okay. Um, yeah, I mean, when the water does show up at the end, it did look
Yeah,
pretty nice.
you can see the change. Something that we didn't mention is how the color palette is used very well. The few scenes where you see a lot of water, most of the times there are the predominant tone is light blue, whereas for most of the scenes about the summer heat, it's like this. You can feel orange and yellow being the dominant colors. So again, the use of colors is very intelligent throughout the movie. And then, of course, but I think it's something that was done on purpose. Especially, I really like the movement of the scene when. Should we spoil one part of the ending?
Why not?
Well, towards the end, pretty much, Izumi realizes that her call is to pretty much repair the link between humanity and a deity pretty much evicted from a mountain, and that was sort of foretold by some. It was found in some petrographs in in a digging site, archaeological site, and she enters. I think it's like a small stream, no? I don't think it's a lake. It looks more like one of those water canals that they got in Japan very often. And she starts to submerge herself into the water, and then there is this beautiful scene where you can see it's like middle of the night. There's pretty much only the moon shining, and it's reflecting on the water, and you see the figure of Izumi looking back for one last time at Mao, and then she dissolves and pretty much mends this this whole situation. She pretty much fixes the anger that the gods or nature itself felt towards humanity, and then it starts to rain, and there is this very beautiful scene with her entering the water. That, like I think Farah was talking at the beginning about how it felt something that resonates with you, even if something you never saw before. It's like implicitly, it's sort of like a memory that your brain recognizes, even if you never saw it before.
There's also another scene in the rain with the protagonist. I think it's at the same location. So there's the protagonist, and next to him, a little girl in a swimsuit.
That one talks about his trauma, because it's implied there that his sister drowned while probably swimming in a pool, and
Oh,
that he wasn't
okay,
able to save her at the time.
okay.
A lot of things are not I like, because some of the traits of the characters are not, they don't tell it to you. Like, there is no one going there and say, oh, this time he was able to rescue someone, or at that time that his sister fell into the swimming pool, blah blah blah. No, they show it in a sort of dream sequence or hallucination. So it's not important to the plot in itself, but it was nice that they explained it without telling it to you right to your face. Oh, by the way.
I see. And with that said, unless you have anything else to say, I think it's time to end it.
No, it's a movie that's difficult to describe, and absolutely, it's 2 hours, but it's worth watching. It's very slow. Sometimes some of the scenes are edited in a annoying way. There is that scene, I think it's around the 15-minute mark, where from complete silence we move to departing flight, and the sound is deafening. I was like, thank you, director. That was very kind of you to render me deaf for a few minutes. But other than that, good movie.
Yeah, I
What
mean, what is it?
if you haven't?
Um, so I mean, I would say that if you are interested in anime, um, like I am, I guess, try giving Japanese films a chance to. There's some interesting stuff like this one,
Hmm.
and there are also connections, obviously, between Japanese film and anime.
Hmm.
From time to time, there's an article which I'll put in the description which talks about Denpa, which you can find in anime and in film. And this is supposedly a Denpa movie. I don't I don't know. Like, I sometimes I wonder whether like it's just a whether it's actually like an actual thing, or if it's something where like people.
I think it's more like rather than a genre, it's more a little bit like, let's say, in music, grunge is not really a genre. It was more like a movement within music. You had bands like Alice in Chain that were like hard rock bordering on metal. You had Pearl Jam that were more like a slow paced moody rock. You had Nirvana that were like, but it wasn't the music itself. It was the sentiments and the emotions and the political views that were unifying them, rather than the style of music. So I
Yeah,
think the same for this Dempa movement. It's more like how they perceive and describe the world, rather than the movie genre or the anime type that they use as a vehicle.
yeah. I guess what they have in common is that it's usually like an urban setting. There's usually some kind of mystery stuff
Hmm.
going on. Lots of shots of buildings. I didn't see
It's a
that.
sort of
Yeah,
low-key sci-fi, but I can see that there is a lot of variety.
yeah. And with that said, well, thank you for listening.